What's going on, guys? It's Tom or Top 10 Wrestling here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be discussing one of the worst, if not the worst, TNA stable of all time. And as you can tell by probably the thumbnail, I am of course discussing the World Elite. Now I will say, maybe they aren't necessarily the worst TNA stable ever, but they're my least favorite stable in TNA history, and I'm going to have a series of videos coming out real soon talking about my least favorite TNA wrestler, my least favorite Impact episode, which I need your help finding. Comment down below, what is the worst TNA Impact episode, other than the one where there was like 6 minutes of wrestling, other than that one. Before we get into this video, I'd like to thank my Patreons, Alan Barkley, Efran Martin, and Marky D. If you would like to see more exclusive content and content come out early from me, then check out my Patreon. It's linked in the description. It would really help me out during these trying times, and it would be very much appreciated. But enough time wasting, let's just get into it. So first of all, let's talk about how the World Elite was formed. The formation of the World Elite basically came from two teams forming together and forming a little faction between them, and then a leader coming in and helping lead them and naming them the World Elite. The first team that formed was between Tetsuya Naito and Yujiro Takahashi, aka No Limit, Kiyoshi, and Sheikh Abdul Bashir. The four aligned themselves together as an unnamed anti-American stable. These were the first seeds planted for the World Elite in March 2009. Then the next month in April, the British invasion formed when Doug Williams, Brutus Magnus, and Rob Terry attacked LAX. The next month, Naito and Yujiro left the company, meaning Sheikh Abdul Bashir and Kiyoshi were now on their own, but after the British invasion attacked Team 3D, Sheikh Abdul Bashir and Kiyoshi were very happy with what they saw, and so the five of them aligned themselves together. On the July 23rd, 2009 episode of Impact, AJ Styles, Daniels, Beer Money, and Eric Young took on the Fivesome in a 5-on-5 tag team match, but the villainous team would win after Eric Young turned heel on the babyface team and aligned himself with the British invasion, Bashir, and Kiyoshi. Eric Young would become the leader of this faction, now titled the World Elite, an anti-American stable featuring members from Canada, England, Wales, Iran, and Japan. The same week where Eric Young became the leader, he helps the British invasion defeat Team 3D for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. So far so good for the World Elite. A strong formation, a title win, and though the concept of the stable was very basic and not something unseen before in wrestling, it could work. Members like Eric Young and Doug Williams are very strong wrestlers in the ring, and they can help carry the stable and get the other guys over as heels. However, after just 2 weeks of officially being the World Elite, the World Elite announced a merger with another stable, and I think you guys already know what stable I'm talking about. The August 6th episode of Impact saw World Elite leader Eric Young and Main Event Mafia leader Kurt Angle come out and reveal that a deal had been made to turn the Main Event Mafia and the World Elite into one mega faction, calling themselves, get this, the Elite Mafia. Now, the Main Event Mafia were a strong stable, the top stable in the company, made up of TNA's top guys. Kurt Angle, Sting, Kevin Nash, Booker T, Samoa Joe, and Scott Steiner are huge names and could really help to benefit the World Elite, but at the same time, them combining with the World Elite not only defeated the purpose of the Main Event Mafia, but in my opinion, it sort of just made the World Elite look like a side piece of the Main Event Mafia. It made them look like the B team. They were the complete B side of this merger. And of course, like I said before, the World Elite had only been formed officially 2 weeks ago, and they're already being merged with another faction, which to me shows that TNA probably didn't really have any long-term plans for them, and probably just didn't believe in them to get heat on their own. Oh yeah, and also, the merger ended up being completely pointless and a colossal failure. While the two were merged, the Main Event Mafia held every TNA title, while the World Elite held nothing, excluding the IWGP tag titles, making the World Elite look super weak, and after less than 2 months, the merger came to an end. On the October 1st, 2009 edition of Impact, the World Elite and the Main Event Mafia exploded. The two stables had a massive brawl, and the merger came to an end after going completely nowhere and being of absolutely no benefit to the World Elite whatsoever. This would start a feud between the two stables, and at Bound for Glory that month, the World Elite would finally get some gold. Eric Young defeated Kevin Nash and Hernandez to win the TNA Legends Championship. Now, don't get me wrong, the TNA Legends Championship is the least prestigious title in wrestling history, but it's still a title belt, so we'll count it for the World Elite. World Elite 1, Main Event Mafia 0. Also on that show, a Full Metal Mayhem 4-way tag match took place between the British Invasion, Team 3D, Booker T and Scott Steiner, and Beer Money, with the TNA tag titles and the IWGP tag titles on the line, meaning British Invasion and the Main Event Mafia were both at risk of losing their titles, or winning both titles, or winning one of the sets of titles. In this match, both teams lost their titles. The Main Event Mafia lost their World Tag titles, the British Invasion lost the IWGP tag titles, but the British Invasion won the TNA tag titles, and Team 3D won the IWGP tag titles, meaning the World Elite 2, the Main Event Mafia 0. So basically, at Bound for Glory, in one of the only positive things to happen to the World Elite, they beat out the Main Event Mafia, which was pretty huge for them. And on the following Impact, Eric Young would rename the Legends title to the new Global title, and said that he would never defend it on US soil or against American competitors, which to me, this was a good move as it fits the group's purpose and the meaning behind the stable, and Global Championship just sounds so much better than Legends Championship, and I think that is something we can all agree on. The Legends Championship is finally dead. Thank God. That same show, Kurt Angle officially announced the death of the Main Event Mafia, meaning the World Elite beat them, and former Main Event Mafia Kevin Nash would turn face, and he would then begin feuding with Eric Young and the World Elite. At Turning Point 2009, the British Invasion would retain their titles against the Motor City Machine Guns and Beer Money. However, they retained the titles after Kevin Nash turned heel again and helps them win. This better not be going where I think it's going. Well, it did, because on the following Impact, Kevin Nash joined the World Elite, meaning the entire purpose of the group has just been defeated. The whole reason the group exists is because they're anti-American and they hate Americans, and they weren't going to have any American members. I mean, they have members from the UK and Asia and Canada even, but they weren't going to have any Americans. That was the point of the stable. No Americans allowed. But now, Kevin Nash, an American, is now part of the World Elite, and for basically no reason. That there was no real purpose for him to be there. The only reason I can think why they put him there was because he's a bigger star than the other guys, and maybe they wanted fans to take them more seriously or pay more attention to them. Who knows, really. But regardless of Kevin Nash joining the World Elite or not, 1 month later would start the dissolution of the group, with conflicts between the members that led to the group disbanding. It all started at Final Resolution, the final pay-per-view of 2009. The Feast or Fight match took place at this show, with 6 members of the World Elite in the match against the likes of Samoa Joe, Beer Money, Lethal Consequences, and Cody Deaner. And in the end, Rob Terry, Sheik Abdul-Bashir, Kevin Nash, and Samoa Joe would win the briefcases, meaning they've won 3 out of 4 of the briefcases. However, this made Eric Young angry, as he wanted to win all 4 briefcases for the World Elite, and they were meant to work together, and the members who won the briefcase were winning them over other members without Young's permission. It kind of made no sense why he was mad. Ultimately, Samoa Joe got the world title shot, Kevin Nash got a tag title shot, and Rob Terry got the X Division title shot, meaning Sheik Abdul-Bashir was fired and was out the company, and he actually was out the company because he was leaving in real life anyway, so they did this angle to have him exit. And following this, the World Elite just fell apart. On the January 4th, 2010 episode of Impact, the Impact episode that I've discussed probably about 100 times, Homicide turned on Kiyoshi, who who would both leave the World Elite after. Then on January 27th, Rob Terry defeated Eric Young at a house show for the global title, and the next month he turned on the British Invasion, so all three of them are gone now. And after that, everyone kind of just did their own thing. I mean, Rob Terry and Magnus feuded, Doug Williams won the X Division title, and then Eric Young and Kevin Nash formed the band with Scott Hall and Six Pack, and that was basically it for the World Elite. One of the most forgettable and biggest failures of a stable in TNA history, probably. I think a big reason why I have such a disdain for this stable is because they remind me of the League of Nations in WWE, who are a very similar stable who too just went nowhere. To me, they kind of go hand in hand, these two stables, and TNA love to have stables that just lasted less than a year, and this was one of them. They lasted less than a year, never really had too much success other than winning the Legends title, which isn't that prestigious of a title anyway, and winning the tag titles, but that was from the British Invasion, who could have won them without the World Elite anyway, because the British Invasion were just good in general. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, then smack that like button. Follow me on Twitter at Top 10 Wrestling. My Instagram is at I'm Tom Bell. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Top 10 Wrestling. It's the top link in the description. You can find all sorts of exclusive content there and see a bunch of cool stuff. But yeah, I'll see you all soon, guys. Goodbye and keep on rolling.